seeing him. Will we see it here? New Look Semper Esports up against Mustu Fluck, and that's a very early kickoff win actually for Mustu Fluck. Chorzette forced into an early retreat, and Exotic's going to scurry away down the other side of the pitch. Requires a bit of saving maneuvers from the defenders. Cassio to come in with the challenge. And look, I know I saw some folks in chat saying, hey, let's get some predictions out there. My prediction's pretty simple. This should be most likely a 3-1 or 3-0 for Semper in spite of the roster change.
And of course, my eyes are going to be on Exotic pretty much throughout this whole series. I'm curious to see how he fits in. Right now, he just fits on the line, and Chorzette throwing absolutely everyone for a loop because you see, okay, blue car, golden car. Chorzette, is it a bit too excessive? Is it a bit too much?
He's wearing his official decal. What's wrong with that?
But nobody else is. See, that's what throws me off. Exotic, perhaps for his first goal, at least televised right here, almost bounces off of him, but cannot get it on target. Semper in attack. They're tightening that ring of players around Mustu Fluck and their defense. And this brings out some of the memories from our opener, at least with us, yesterday as well. As we saw, a lot of continuous attack. That was Team Singularity, who started their series really well and then got reverse swept by Sun.
Yeah, Chorzette certainly coming out the blocks hot. That was a very tasty double tap in the making. Unfortunate to hit the woodwork instead of the target. And Mustu Fluck, it must be said, have been looking a little bit tedious on defense themselves. A couple of double commits, a couple of uncertainties. This wayward shot is going to be creamy out and away. Chorzette looking for the shot back to the backboard. Here's Matsgray going to carry this out. Looking for support from Mads. He's not going to find it. And very much stuck in their own half now. Finally, the clearance coming through from Creamy, where Mads is going to find the ball. It's going to go straight in anyway. Semper Esports caught with their trousers down.
And I think there's a good descriptor for this goal. It's quite creamy. Quite good. It's quite nice. It has a really good splash at the end of it as well. Sweet. Sweet. You said it right. It just one really good clear, and Semper Esports, they had to push. There's no doubts about it. They had to push. But this 3 versus 1, and Exotic flubs on it. For a good reason. Cassio has got his back.
The worst thing you want to do if you are the underdog going into a match is to go 1-0 up, perhaps through a bit of fortune, and then immediately concede within the first 10 seconds off kickoff. Mustu Fluck are going to be kicking themselves after that one, and deservedly so as well, because Semper Esports have been very much let off the hook, although this is a nice pass back to Mads. And Chorzette forced to save off the backboard, infield to Cassio. Nice passing play, really lovely flick from Cassio. And it takes Matsgray to deny another shot opportunity. Chorzette trying to go for the bump. Matsgray going over to the far side, is back into the center. Matsgray again having to get involved with the challenges, but very similar sort of state of play before these 2 goals went in, Jam, where Mustu Fluck are desperately trying to clear their own half, and then once they get into the other half, then we'll see what they can do from there, but it's all hands to the pump at the moment.
For just a moment, those 2 kickoffs, well, let's forget about the second one where Semper Esports got their equalizer quite quickly. Those kickoffs helped Mustu Fluck reset the narrative of the play and allow them to get out of their half just a little bit, but the longer we're now seeing a period without a goal, the more we're seeing Semper Esports once again tightening that loop, tightening that hold. And even with some chances that Mustu Fluck are getting, there's another nice redirect, but this time Chorzette is not beaten, neither is Semper Esports. But they need to be aware that at any point Mustu Fluck can spring something out, and we really have not seen Semper Esports defense in action that much. Whatever we have seen so far has been just routine clears, routine touches, with nothing really threatening them. I want to see how they perform when it's also a complete another siege. I'm pretty sure that was a boost. No way that was just undefended.
So Creamy just flat out misses, and Mads, hello?
Mads? Yep.
Okay, so there was a bump actually in the end there, but for Mads to... I don't know what distracted him, Jam.
I'm going to dip out for a tea. Oh, shucks.
It's not that Chorzette's going to complain. That lined up so sweetly for him. And the bump as well on the goalkeeper, able to secure a lead for Semper Esports. It's not been the cleanest. And to be fair, we have a lot of top blokes experience having commentated on them.
It feels like a good old days, man.
It does feel like the good old days, but the good old days also included a lot of series where top blokes would dominate teams and then still somehow lose the game because they couldn't unlock the defense. And that's a worry when you've switched out someone of Archie's caliber for anyone else. Exotic's a good player, but case in point. I mean, this is top blokes through and through. No need to double commit on the save, but still, it's a triple commit. It's a solo standard special, and Mustaflux stay afloat.
Yeah, at least for Chazette, there was no need to come off the backboard. He had that backboard on a lock and would be needed in case Mustaflux would continue their attack, but Semper Esports panic. And talking about Archie, Semper Esports in the license of Archie have lost a player has both been on the forefront of attacks, had the most tremendous goal participation rating, and I think it was Octane GG that posted that wonderful stat about Seiko and Endpoint losing Seiko, the player with the second most participation in goals last split, and they got the #1 player in goal participation, which was Archie. Not to mention that Archie was always putting his numbers in defense as well. He was ever so present on all sides of the field for Semper. So now Exotic that's just not shoes that he needs to fill. It's a lot more.
Well, I think Semper as a whole just need to change tactic. I respect Endpoint greatly for getting a very similar player, really, to losing Seiko. I mean, that is a massive set of boots, which Archie's got to fill, but they are also boots which I believe he can fill. Whereas with Semper, you're more looking at a complete revolution in how you play. Cassio's always been a bit of a playmaker, Chazette always more of an anchor, and Exotic has always been a bit more of a box-to-box style, and so you've not really got that out-and-out finisher that you'd have in Archie, for example. They've got to find the goals from all over the pitch, and if they're going to find a goal to win this game, it's going to have to come in our first overtime of the day, Jam.
Well, one of the team is French, so I think we can say that it's prolongation. Wow. And with Semper Esports, if it wasn't for that conceded goal, they could have eked it out. But Mustaflux hasn't really opened themselves up to any more conceded goals. And really, for a longest while, this hasn't been looking like Semper Esports had the same pressure in the attack that they had at the beginning of this game. And as such, no chances really came. This is a drop that Mads Gray might regret, but a good block. Mads really needed it. These bounces... no, just goes off the catch and nobody on the follow-up can really get it. Misses from Mustaflux might spell trouble, though. There are a lot of mistakes that really they would like to cut off.
Ooh, another double commit forced by Mads here as Exotic down the other side, 1v1 with Creamy, takes out Creamy. Chazette to follow up. It's a tight angle, and again, Mads Gray back in time to make the block. Here's Mads. And Chazette lying in wait on this far side. That's going to go straight back towards the box. Exotic looking for the cherry pick, looking for the double tap even. Falls to Cassio, and again, Mads just stuffs him before he's able to get a shot away. Cassio, playmaker extraordinaire, but Creamy able to close him down. And look at Mads Gray so far up the pitch. Picks up that 100 boost. Exotic still trying to steam forward. No luck here on the backboard as Chazette goes straight for net and finds it with precision. Semper take first blood.
His name just means socks, ladies and gentlemen, and he is back on track. Oh God, I just love those chants. Back in the day when he was playing on a stage, and we could just make a little bit of a fun all around. Semper Esports with 6.5 minutes do take game 1 over Mustaflux. It did take them quite a while though, and it was not all looking as if it was easy pickings. No, Mustaflux have fought every step of the way. Now I'm curious to see whether there's going to be a tightening of the screws and Semper Esports will be building up on this one, or whether Mustaflux will see their chances. And the chances did come. And it's not like Mustaflux did not have opportunities to put even more shots. We saw all at that stat sheet that Mustaflux put on their fair share of attempts at Semper Esports net. And as you saw, 2 of them went through. So it's not a case of Semper Esports completely bleeding Mustaflux dry. This is a team that still can go toe-to-toe in game number 2.
It just felt a little bit unconvincing for me. Not in the same way as I would say it was unconvincing from Vitality yesterday, where they really did look at odds and ends for a large period of time. It just looks a bit... oh man, this is going to get some sting. It just looked a bit boring from Semper. It looked like a back-to-basics sort of style, which, to be fair, when you're into creating a new player, great. And if you get the wins to go with it, as we saw in game number 1, great. I just hope that they find a bit more confidence to show off the mechanics, which we know they are very capable of. But to let Mustafluk get 2 goals, to almost let Mustafluk get the opening goal as well, the defense not convincing for me. Excuse me, and when you're kind of knocking on the door but not with a lot of force down the other side of the pitch and not really scoring for fun, it leads to inconsistencies and perhaps shades of doubt which can lead to further ramifications in the series. Nevertheless, first minute come and gone, Jam, and we're still at a tie game, 0-0, or maybe not for long, as that took a huge save from Newman Exotic to deny an egregious mistake.
And now counterattack, no bumps. Well, Mads great. I thought Cassio would be going for Mads great, but it's Exotic both bringing the ball through and also getting the demo pass to Cassio as he was waiting, but that was simple to read for Mads as he rushes back in time. Nobody can figure out how to break each other's defense, although everyone's getting pretty darn close. That bounce took a while to create an Exotic, took a while to read it. And speaking of Exotic, he'll have at least a little bit of an easier time blending into the new team, as together with him coming into the squad, Finish, the French coach, has also stepped up and joined in place of Billy, who we actually have seen yesterday playing for Team Singularity. And Finish and Exotic have been together through multiple rosters. Previously, Let's Go Kill, Train Hard Esports, I do believe in Solary as well. And as such, they are a duo by this point. And now with a fully French roster, I wonder, well, previously, for the most part, it was also fully French rosters again. Meloshisu and the Karen Yoni and the rest.
Lovely to see some of, well, as I say, one of, I would possibly go as far as saying the man with the most beautiful hair in all of Rocket League Esports. Hello, Hootie Hoo, and all of your wonderful followers. Welcome to the Dacha Electric Spring Tournament, or Spring Electric Tournament, I should say, rather. Get the names the right way around, where you can see new look Semper, new look Kami today. We've had new look Vitality also on display yesterday. And it's fair to say, it's fair to say, Jam, that's a great demo. And Shawzet opens the scoring with 2:22 on the clock.
Demos are great. Aerial demos are that much better. Exotic had only one thought in mind, or maybe 2 thoughts in mind if he had an opportunity to redirect that straight into the net and get himself a goal. But and I'm glad we had a different angle on that one through the replay, because originally we did not catch it, but we knew exactly what has happened. And now Exotic up front as well. It's going to be a pass, and Shawzet has to reach a little bit out of his range. But the plan that they drew up was looking tremendous. Now what Mustafluk is going to show Mads, not going to get it either. I think he ran out of boost just at the most inopportune time, but the setup to himself was looking promising.
It's been for such a long time in this game, it just sort of a bit of fisticuffs, a bit of argy-bargy in the midfield. It's not really been flush with excitement or great mechanics. It's just been a return to what people are hoping to do best, and what Creamy would have loved to have done there is score a goal, but perhaps a bit too much power. Ricochets off the bar, off the floor, and out again. That was a wonderful opportunity, and look at Mads there, able to keep this locked into the blue half for now at least. That travels over Shawzet, and Shawzet backtracking, able to get enough on it to make another big save.
He said, if nobody else is going for it, I guess I'll go, but I was already heading out. All right, boys, if you need my help. And Mustafluk did not expect the chance either. How about Shawzet? Not going to be working for a pass either. Felt to me that he was in a good position, but they prioritize rotation over everything. And Exotic gets himself a first one for his new team. Congratulations on getting your shooting weights out of your back, whatever the saying is. It's a good start.
It's always the hardest, the first goal to score, and that was a particularly difficult angle as well from Exotic, so did really well just to drop it underneath the bar. And now Mustafluk, you're looking at overturning 2 goals in 45 seconds again as the underdogs, especially with double commits like that on attack. I think it's not going to be through want of trying here, Mustafluk, but again, you got to question just how far the talent potentially goes. Creamy caught in a really awkward position there, and Exotic, it's like 2 London buses jammed. Get the cliches out early. It's you want 1 and 2 come along at the same time.
If previously we praised Creamy, he was the person who scored the 2 goals for Mustafluk so far in the series. The problem is, these are the only 2 goals that Mustaflak have scored in this series, and Creamy on that particular attempt had nobody around, his touch was not up to par, and Semper Esports just found himself a great opportunity in Chozette's placement and positioning right there. Part luck, part great rotation. That would have been a goal for Mustaflak. Chosette just says no. And these passes, oh, well, Cassio and Chosette, of course, played with each other for a while now. That's, if I really put it very mildly. And, oh, hello.
Oh, he got it in!
Still gonna get it through. Karimi says, I still have just a little bit in me. I'm gonna squeeze it in at the very dying moments of game number 2. But there needs to be 2 kickoff goals. Mustaflak, I don't think we have seen anything magical through the kickoffs just yet, but let's see.
It was a very Cavalierian challenge. Is that the right word? A Cavalierian challenge? We'll go with it anyway. You know what I mean. It was very cavalier. There we go. From Mads, and very cavalier from Creamy as well. No clean sheet for Semper. That's going to be an annoyance to them. But 3 goals is certainly not going to be an annoyance to them. But look at the shot counter just diminishing over the course of this game. This was a midfield mayhem mashup, Jam, where they once had 14 shots on target. Semper now only have 6, but they were at least able to convert half of them. And that is certainly good going as they look to complete the sweep.
That counts for a lot, the efficiency at which Semper are playing in. Still, that demo into goal, Exotic setting everything up, Exotic then putting this to bed, and finally we're seeing Chosette executing on his attempt. So was it? No, that's Exotic coming in as well. So I would say Exotic deserves the MVP, and he was the MVP of the game by setting up 1 goal through a demo, then of course getting the other 2. And out of everyone who we wanted to see perform, I think, at least for me, Exotic would be the player I would want to see get those the first goals in, get the first ideas of chemistry in between, and he slots in so far pretty well. Now to see how it's going to continue further on. This is for the match point as we're heading into game number 3, and Semper Esports would like to take it in a 3-0 sweep unless Mustaflak has other ideas about it. We've seen them put up a whole slew of shots in the previous game, more so than Semper Esports, and this kickoff is going to get them one pretty quickly. Now to watch as Semper Esports are playing from behind yet again.
That's a lovely deft touch from Mads Gray, and even better communication, knowing that Mads is arriving at a rate of knots with a better angle to shoot the ball as well. Not selfish at all, leaves it for his teammate, gets the goal within the opening 5 seconds. What more can they do from here, though? And more importantly for Semper, this is, I forget, they came from behind in game number 1, didn't they? But it was a very quick goal. And so now perhaps there might be a second for Mustaflak. No, there's 2 players back in there going to be saved away. This obviously is taking a little bit longer. It's not a kickoff goal for Semper. And I guess this is more now a test of Mustaflak and their ability not to make mistakes. And also Semper Esports, if they can get those passing plays going. Really nice defensive coverage here from Mustaflak just to deny every sort of angle available. Here comes Exotic now as well. Little boost to work with, and he manages to find his way past one. Back to Cassio, but in the way is Creamy with the save. Chosette, that's going to ricochet back out.
They're trying any old way, and this good clear just has nobody from Mustaflak even close by. And Exotic is looking for his teammate. Oh, that's Exotic in the continuation yet again, and Mats needs to stretch to make that save. All the while, more Semper Esports players are coming in. And even in this case, Cassio is already in position and waiting, won't have enough boost to continue his attack. And on the ground, the ball is already in possession of Mustaflak. Cannot really get out of their own half, and every time something like this happens, of course, there's not going to be anyone on the other flank. That's a lot of boost wasted. With the placement on the backboards, great Creamy almost gets himself a gift. His teammate Mads, though, you could see that he was right behind him, and a little bit of that shadowing does get them the ball and gets them the control. But I'm wondering what would happen if they would be beat for that. It goes in and out, Relic. You saw it as well. It just goes in and then decides, nah, not today.
What a pass. And there had to be quick reactions. Exotic going all the way. It's off the bar. Out and away. We've talked about Chosette. We've talked about Exotic. Haven't talked much about Cassio. He has the ability to really turn on the Jets. And I think they kind of need him now, because still with 3 minutes left to go, Semper unable to find a goal. Mustaflak actually looking the more threatening team going forward as things stand. Here's Mads Gray again. Winning the challenges. Cassio, Mad straight back in there, looking to get the dunk perhaps. Really nice clearance here from Chaurzette, but that's straight into the hands of Mats Gray. Almost like a tennis machine serving the ball to the person who's going to hit it straight back. They don't really care about conceding possession at the moment, Must Do Fluck. As long as they keep Semper pinned in their own half, they're not going to be going forward. They're not going to be threatening their own net. And Chaurzette looking to take the aerial path, able to find Cassio, but not before Mats Gray again interferes. Really lovely midfield dominance here from the Danes.
And you can see the game plan for Semper Esports. A lot of it includes passes as wide as the field itself. They're constantly looking for each other. You could see Cassio and the rest of the team going on the wall as well, or receiving the ball in the air. Exotic, he had a lot of great goals in the previous game. Not in this case. Creamy gets his Seaver medal with that one. And Mustafluck still persevere. Well, perhaps Semper Esports, it's hard for Semper Esports to all of a sudden say, all right, our game plan, which is really good on paper, let's go for those passing plays, let's really play wide and make Mustafluck also stretch themselves. Let's not do any of that. It's almost impossible to say no to that, but so far it has been readable from Mustu as they are trying to stop them. That demo is very important.
Oh, lovely.
And that touch off the backboard is even more important than that. Mustafluck do break down.
Mats Gray was like, prepare for ramming speed, but unfortunately he completely misses the ball. And with Mads left in net, completely isolated, that's on a plate for Cassio. That's a really nice pick. That's a really important goal for Cassio and his confidence, and really important in the context of this entire series when Mustafluck have been leading for what, a solid 3-4 minutes at that point, 3.5, and that's all gone to waste now. Creamy looking to try and restore a little bit of the advantage that they once had. Mats Gray, that's really smart. Mats Gray's not going to win out to Cassio. However, Exotic misses the ball. Chaurzette steps in. And
that bump was instrumental.
That was, yeah, and Mads able to draw it out here into the center once again. Lovely close down from Creamy. I can see another overtime in this one, Jam.
Yeah, I'm looking at my crystal ball, and with the way that this game has gone so far, yep, we've seen a goal each. But the game still was confined mostly to the middle of the field. I think for Mustafluck, though, it hasn't been the same amount of chances, at least as I'm counting them, and as the 5th minute have already started, or the 4th minute, depending on which way you're counting. Chaurzette just doesn't have the boost, but delays his flick for as long as possible, nice, and now a lot of explosions. That Exotic removed from the field, and so the third player opportunity for Semper Esports was removed. It only sends them back to the defense, so Semper Esports have more defensive posture coming in off of that counterattack.
Cassio. And that's going to go loose. Chaurzette up for the chase. Wins it over Mads. Is there another coming in? Yes, but that's off the backboard again. Shooting boots. Not on the feet of Semper Esports as we enter the final 5 seconds. Exotic does his due diligence into the midfield. That's a lovely infield pass from Mads, but no one ready to read it. And that's going to head to the floor. We are heading into an overtime. Last chance saloon in the upper bracket here for Mustafluck.
For Mustafluck, the tournament will not be over, but going down to the lower bracket, of course, means they will be on their last life. And right now, they're only thinking about scoring just one, and then see what they can do. Same is true for Semper Esports, for which going into the upper bracket, getting this win pretty much would guarantee themselves a spot in a playoff.
Oh, no!
It's up to them. How on earth are they managing to build a Jenga tower of cars in their own defense? Well, nothing dangerous is really happening, and yet they're still trying to somehow stumble over each other. Oh, that touch, not right. And counterattack, one of the goals how Mustafluck has scored it earlier. If only that would be on target, I don't think this was savable from Semper.
Yeah, it was a big triple commit up the field. Semper throwing everything into the attack, and they were almost caught out for it, much as we saw earlier in the day. With Mustafluck's opening goal, actually, of the series in game number 1. Cassio trying to keep it simple, and again, Creamy with a no-nonsense clearance. Mads to chase. Exotic picking up with the 100, the ball in field, but Chaurzette can deal with that. Cassio, Creamy, it's not going to reach its intended target. Back to Chaurzette now. Chaurzette not going to get past Mads Gray again. These midfield challenges really good from Mustafluck, keeping them in the series, but they will be in the series no longer. It is a maniacally devilish ricochet challenge that ultimately Cassio and Exotic combine to win, and Semper sweep the series. The Danes are heading to the lower bracket.
Semper Esports just putting the ingredients together, and in the end, it's a beautiful cake that gets them both the victory in game number 3 and victory overall in the series. It's a sweep. Clean sweep because it's a 3-0, but every single game went on to be an incredibly close affair. In first game, we went to the overtime. In the second game, we went incredibly close. Once again, here we're going into the overtime, and it took Semper a while to get it going, but they got it going, and that's the most important bit. They're not going to be the first team in the upper finals, and are going to be awaiting their opposition up ahead as Carmine Corp and, of course, the ever so lovely named FC Multiculti. I actually wonder where that name comes from. Every single time there's a silly name. I suppose. Yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
Yes. It's only Peaky there sort of representing Belgium and goes, hello, or waffles, or I'm not sure what. But he's there. He's clearly there. On the side of Carmine Corp, that's a multicultural team if you're speaking about that. True. Itachi, Moroccan, Astral, Belgian, Noli, British. Yep.
Sounds like the makings of a good joke, doesn't it? Solid if unspectacular, I would say, here from Semper. I thought it might be a tougher challenge than people might expect, especially when you look at the stats on paper. I think Must Do Fluck definitely having a good showing here, but again, just talent a little bit too far beyond their reach. Couple of challenges go their way. Maybe it's a different story. I don't think it was ever going to eclipse a 3-1 win for Semper. And we'll see how Semper goes on as they head into the upper finals. Who will be their opponents, though, Jam? Got a very taste. I mean, we talk about FC Multiculti. They're going to be up next on stream. And they're going to be facing a new look Carmine Corp. Goodbye to the tuxedo-clad steak. Hello to the Brit in Nolly. How is the roster going to form early doors? We'll find out after this.
Welcome back, everyone, to day 2 of the Dacia Spring Electric Tournament here on the Rocket RB. My name is Craftman, and Spooks here, joining you for this next great matchup, Karmine Corp versus FC Multiculti. You can see just below our lovely, lovely faces. But if you're just joining us, if you tuned in late, you actually just saw a decent enough series between Semper and Mushiflux. Semper, Spooks, looking really, really, really strong today.
They look like they really are just finishing off those games, but I found Mustufluk playing quite well, really, bringing it to 2 overtimes, and really should have won maybe at least one game, but in the end, Semper is doing what it needs to be doing and sweeping and finishing off those games.
Yeah, that 3-0 scoreline, the 3-0 sweep for Semper doesn't really tell the full story. I mean, you got 2 overtimes in there, and the other one that didn't go to overtime was 3-1. So Mushiflux really still in this tournament. Obviously, they now drop down to the lower bracket of Pool B, and they'll face off against the loser of our next game. But don't write Mushiflux off just for now, because this is going to be a really, really strong team going forward, and hopefully for themselves, they get themselves into the playoff bracket come Saturday.
It would be something to see, and I mean, it's quite possible to do it, but they're gonna have to play the loser of our next upcoming match with Karmine Corp and SC Multiculti. Well, I know who they would rather probably face, but these are 2 teams. It should be quite interesting, especially seeing the new roster move with Nolly.
Yeah, we kind of touched on it yesterday, and I imagine the guys, Relic and Jam, would have touched on it in the pre-show today as well. Karmine Corp, obviously, and Semper, of course, the 2 teams today that have made significant roster changes for the RLCS season. And now Karmine Corp will focus on just now losing out to Stake, or they lose Stake. He goes off to Williams Resolve. They bring in Noli, kind of. From what we've heard, a kind of fractured relationship with Guild Esports. Now he comes in to Karmine Corp to fill that 3rd spot. How do you reckon, Spooks? How do you reckon Noli is going to fit in on this roster, who has kind of been up and down as the season has gone on?
Really been up and down, and well, like you've hinted at before, with Guild, of course, dropping him. I don't think he would have expected going from a struggling guild to a Karmine Corp. It's probably the best move you could have gotten for himself and for the roster of Karmine Corp. I think they can be quite excited. I think Nolly could be a bit of that facilitator for Astro and Itachi. Really let them do their thing and do what Stake struggled to do. But it's still going to be a big ask if he's going to be able to do so, because it isn't easy to play with Astro and Itachi. They're great players themselves, but that also gives a lot of pressure and a lot of troubles, as they want to play that certain way. They want to give themselves that freedom. Nolly just has to show up and show why he can give that freedom.
Well, I suppose the pressure has been on Karmine Corp as an organization, or as a roster from the get-go. Everyone was expecting Karmine Corp to start off RLCS season 21-22 and just win regionals, go to majors. They've yet to do that. I mean, currently they're sitting 8th in the European standings, only barely making it into the first regional, which is going to happen in just a few weeks' time. So, I mean, we kind of talked about this with Vitality yesterday, Spooks, as well. Could Noli be the injection of I suppose confidence, the new style that Noli might bring in to boost them up the table, kind of what their Vitality's hoping Radosin is doing for them?
I think he can bring a bit of that boost. I think they will definitely look a lot more solidified. I'm not sure if the peak has gotten any higher. I think just the lows have gotten up from where they were. But the peaks, I have a feeling that with Stake, those peaks were just a tiny, tiny bit higher, a tiny bit better. But I will say so. Out of a lot of the roster moves, this one has gone a bit, in quotation marks, unnoticed. But it is one of my favorite ones to see happening.
Yeah, it's kind of flown under the radar. I mean, one of the, I suppose you would say, less high-profile roster moves, but nonetheless, people are talking about it, and that's why we're talking about it today. Let's see how Karmine Corp get on with Noli at the helm as well. But of course, there are 2 teams in a game of Rocket League, and the other one that we're going to see on the field in just a second, Spooked, while we get everyone loaded into play is FC Multiculti. Now, these players of PK, Justice, and Patrick's. Justice, a name in the Dutch scene, in the European bubble scene, that a lot of people will be fairly familiar with, mostly in the 1v1 scene, Spooks.
Yes, but it is a player whose old organization is playing in this tournament as well. He, of course, was on Singularity, left that, now playing with Peaky. And if I am fully correct, it will be Gek playing instead of Beatrix.
Oh, okay.
That is that substitute coming in for them. And, well, in my opinion, if that is true, if I heard that correctly from the birds outside of my room, that's an interesting one, because then it gets a bit into the same type of flow, I would say, as what Rumble Bombers was. That you cannot count a team like this out. You have to be careful, because they have that upset potential. It is just for them, are you going to be able to pull that upset potential against a team like Carmine Corp?
It's going to be an uphill battle, and it's interesting that you're hearing that from birds outside your window, because I thought it was cats that usually stay outside of your window and just crawl their way into your room. Oh, he knows what I'm talking about, but you all don't. But nonetheless, let's just while we're waiting on the players coming into the lobby, I believe we're actually waiting on Carmine Corp finishing up a scrim, and they'll be coming straight into this game. I mean, hey, you got to stay warm, you got to do what you can, and obviously with this tournament getting ready for the RLCS in just a few weeks as well. Let's talk about who their potential opponents would be. Obviously, I mean, I suppose we are both kind of predicting Carmine Corp is going to get through this. Whether it's easily or not, I'm not quite sure. But I imagine my prediction straight away is just going to be Carmine Corp get through. How do you reckon that this new sides would match up against the brand new side of Semper, who we just saw on the field there was absolutely on fire, and especially Exotic? He's looking really good on that roster.
I think it's going to be hard for them, seeing as how Semper's defense, in my eyes, has improved quite a lot. Now that they have a team that is more, I would say, on the equal side, so they all have to do every single thing. But I have a feeling that a team like Carmine Corp, with 3 players who are all insanely good at offense, they will be able to break through that. I do have Carmine Corp actually topping this group, but they first need to get through their first challenge, being FC Multiculti.
Well, we'll see how that goes. And obviously, I mean, 3 aggressive players in Carmine Corp. It has bit them on the bum a few times throughout this season of RLCS. Let's see if they can rein things in a little bit and get themselves together, as I do believe we are ready to get this game underway. A place in the upper bracket final, and confirmation that you'll be playing on Saturday if you win this series right here. It's Carmine Corp on the blue side, and Itachi looking for a hot start over to Astro. He does put it back onto the backboard, but Carmine Corp coming out of the gates hot here, Spooks.
And another confirmation, it is indeed Gek playing for FC Multiculti, but they are on the defensive end. Gek making the save right over there. Astro keeping the pressure going, and Nolly will keep it flowing all the way into the orange half. It just gets stuck there a tiny bit. First 30 seconds, they haven't been able to escape just yet, and this looking lethal, but not dangerous enough, as Astral is something that is quite dangerous.
Justice not falling for that one, though. No boost in his wagon. He'll have to settle for the ball being stuck in the corner this time around. But for Multiculti, you've really got to stop the aggression from Carmine Corp from the outset, because they stay in your danger zone for long enough. It's just only going to be a matter of time until they batter down the hatches. So FC Multiculti better be ready for a shot from anywhere. There's one from Nole from the corner. Here's Astro from the other one. Justice has to make the save on Itachi, and he picks it out of the air perfectly.
And there's Gek with the good pass.
Oh, good pass.
Out. That is almost inside the net. Justice just barely missing out right there. But that was the first breakthrough from FC Multiculti, and now they're just back onto the defensive end once again. They have really struggled to get away. Good flip reset by Gek, but they're still stuck. But the important part, they've been able to survive so far on the defensive end. Nothing really getting past just yet, as Gek comes from the ceiling. Not a good touch, not the one you want to see. But Peaky will keep the game flowing, will keep it going towards the blue half. And finally, is this going to be the time where FC Multiculti, never mind, it just goes back to the orange half?
Well, the thing is, you mentioned about them surviving on the defensive side of the ball, FC Multiculti. you've got to do more than just survive here against Carmine Corp. You've got to turn that into offense somehow. And I think maybe only 1 or 2 shots have came out from FC Multiculti, whereas Carmine Corp have just been battering this net for 2.5 minutes. Astro a little bit wayward on that challenge though. And now Itachi looks to try and make it still dangerous for Carmine Corp, but it is Heck taking it down. I'm not going to pronounce that wrong. You do it much better than me, Spooks. Is it Heck?
Heck.
You got to do it with a lot of phlegm.
It's gotta come from the inside. Heck.
Heck.
It's getting there, but it's fine. But what is also getting closer and closer is the offense from Carmine Corp once again. They are really just inching closer towards the net. Good attempt by Astral. But I'm taking a good notice at Carmine Corp, and I hope you see this too, but I've not seen overcommitments. I just see a very solid play right now from them. Yes, they are not getting that goal, but they are locking down FC Multiculti most of the time. They're not able to get away from their own half. And I'm a firm believer that if you can get a team stuck in their own half for long enough, that mistake will appear, that crack will come, and eventually you will get your goal. Just need to make sure that you solidify yourself and keep that pressure up.
Well, I will say for Multiculti, they're certainly not making too many mistakes here. There are a couple of wayward touches, but it's not really for not really been in a position where Carmine Corp's been able to aggress on them. That was dangerous as it went across the face of the net, although Peaky now into the corner will try and follow up his own touch. No boost in the tank. Will have to let the rest of his team come in. Now Justice follows this one up the wall towards the backboard, away from Noli, up to Astro. Itachi in the middle of the field here. 92 boosts for him. The pass doesn't come anywhere close, and it's right back into the hands of FC Multiculti. And Carmine Corp maybe slowing down just a little bit here. They were fast and aggressive to start this game off, but as FC Multiculti has been putting up a really good defense, Carmine Corp try to find another way around them.
And maybe that other way around them is waiting for a mistake to happen because of the rotations outside their own box. Force FC Multiculti to move out, get aggressive, and then eventually once someone is baited out, you can counter-attack that. But so far it hasn't worked out just yet as we are in the last 40 seconds. Ball into the middle, but Peaky gets a good clear out to Justas. A double tap and slam, but it just goes wide. And that looks quite dangerous, but it can go quite quickly to the other way.
Oli right up that left wing, and he loses possession on the goal line once again for it on the FC Multiculti. Right back down. Heck! Oh, baby! Right from the middle of the field. And with 22 seconds left, it's Multiculti with the first.
All it takes is just that one counter-attack, that one pass that you're looking for. And you see it right there. This ball goes smoothly on into the net. And now Carmine Corp has to act really quickly. Astro with a good kickoff right there, but it goes the other way. As Peaky follows it up, tries to bait out Itachi right away. Itachi with the 50s. Can he get one more? No, Justice is a bit too quick towards that ball. Nolly hitting it straight on down. You need to act quickly. Less than 10 seconds. It's Astro on the ball. Passes in the middle, but a bump coming out as well. And Astro's trying to do the same. Peaky hits it up into the air. And this ball will stay alive for now, but Itachi can't get to it. And to all of our surprises, FC Multiculti has done it on the counterattack.
Well, well, well. And, I mean, you pointed out before we started, Spooks, that Carmine Corp have, you know, been quite aggressive, quite an aggressive roster as of late, and obviously throughout the entirety of the RCS season. But, I mean, right here, you see Noli and Astro all the way back, and they just get completely blindsided by this, you've got to say, really inventive passing play. You think that Peaky is going to go straight to net, maybe take it off the backboard, but no, he finds Heck right to his, or straight to his left, I should say. Don't say right to your left, that's just wrong. Straight to his left, and boom, bang, in the blink of an eye, FC Multiculti on top. So it wasn't really an overcommitment from Carmine Corp. They just got completely taken by surprise.
And it is something to take note of, but right now, all Carmine Corp has to do is just bounce back. It is just one game. We've seen it before, and Itachi, after 5 minutes of struggling, do get their goal.
That they do, and finally Multiculti make a defensive mistake. Peaky slow to take it off the backboard. I don't think he had much boost in the tank, so an awkward possession for him. Really should have called in a teammate to maybe just boom it downfield a little bit more, but if everyone was drained of boost, that might have been a little bit too difficult. Now Carmine Corp I've seen them before when they maybe lose one game, maybe lose 2 games, that they can dig themselves into a hole and maybe not get themselves out of it, mentally wise. So Karmine Corp, it was important for them to get this first one on the board, mostly for their mental fortitude, and maybe even get a second here as Itachi goes over the top. Noli to dunk it down, won't go through. Itachi is there maybe to follow up, but he smartly, in my opinion, gets away.
He does, and maybe we're gonna see a similar thing to yesterday's Vitality against Rumble Bumblers, where once that one goal goes in, you see the floodgates open on up as the first minute passes on by. Peaky getting 50th right there in the midfield, and Astro trying to do his best to regain control of this ball into his team, as Justice brings it out into the corner. Still the offensive side for FC Multiculti, who is still over on the blue side. Double Quint coming out right there, leaving Nolly in a 1v1. Is he quick enough? But with the bump at them from Itachi, it just barely isn't working out. Just a bit more speed required.
A little bit more speed, a little bit more accuracy on the bumps there, Itachi. You know he's capable of them, so FC Multiculti really need to be keeping a close eye on Itachi coming through on plays like that. And luckily enough for them, he was off target that time. Here comes Peaky from the right-hand side. Has Keck up onto the backboard. Now Justice comes in. And it just seems a little bit haphazard right now for FC Multiculti. They're just taking pot shots, not necessarily on target, but at least in the direction of the Karmine Corp net. But still nothing being able to show for their efforts right now. Itachi in the corner, maybe able to follow up his own touch in the side of the field. Again, FC Multiculti, after that early mistake, Spooks, they seem to have settled down in defense.
They have, but it also feels like Karmine Corp has settled themselves down as well. They are not really trying to force the envelope a tiny bit too much.
Yeah, you say that.
I mean, that isn't really forcing the envelope, though. That is just him going for a solo play that he is good at, and that's what I've hinted at before with this team. As Peaky gets an attempt on target, that they are very much capable of doing those solo individual plays. And in that regard, this team so far, Karmine Corp, very much reminds me of the current Vitality with Verdosen.
Yeah, it does seem like that. There's just no follow-up right now from Karmine Corp, and maybe they'll pay the price for an empty net, but Noli and Astro was there. Noli will get credit for the save. 2 men get back. Noli able to take that one away from Keck before it becomes a little bit more of a threat. Does feel like Karmine Corp are maybe just settling for their 1-0 leads, settling for this 1-0 game, as they can't really seem to break forward, because now it's Multiculti chasing points, trying to press the issue in the blue half of the field. Now Justice takes it round, beats out Noli on that one, but it's straight up to the backboard for Astro. And FC Multiculti trying to find a way through, but the Karmine Corp defense, we've not really talked about it all that much throughout this game, Spooks, but they are starting to cause issues for Multiculti coming downfield.
Definitely, but I think that we haven't spoken about them just as much. It's probably for the better for Karmine Corp, because there's been nothing really special going on. They've just been solidified. They keep on blocking every attempt that FC Multiculti is trying to throw at them. This is a good attempt right there, but just a bit too high. Miss from Itachi as well. Pass over to Justice, but the miss of the ball. But I was quite sure that ball would have been saved anyway. But Justice does keep the pressure going. There's an attempt once again from Keck, but he can't do it alone. This ball is slowly inching closer towards the net, but no one really finding the answer just yet.
Multiculti inching ever closer, as you say, Spooks. Justice maybe tries to get even a little bit more closer. Noli off the backboard. Oh, he'll leave this one for Astro. Actually bumps away Peaky. That was probably a really smart play, because Peaky was in a decent enough position to make an attack on that ball and maybe get a pot shot onto net and maybe catch Karmine Corp off guard once again. Noli for the second, and he buries it bottom right corner.
That is the ball inside once again. Karmine Corp, they've just been quite patiently waiting for their moments to strike. And eventually they do get that moment. Get an easy goal on it. 2-0 up in this game. And with the way things have been going, I don't see FC Multiculti getting back into this one. They have to be careful though. Maybe you don't want to concede that third just for the mental strength that you can gain from it. As Justice tries to get it past. Astro does do well in that regard. This ball is on open, but Noli from the inside of the ceiling of his own goal gets the save. And with the last couple of seconds just taking away, I I think this is the Carmine Corp I would probably be happy to see coming out.
Yeah, and that is the Carmine Corp that I imagine they've got a huge fan base to K Corp, and they'll be happy to see them back on form with that game. But I do agree with you, Spooks. I do think that Carmine Corp, they're holding something back. I feel they're not playing to their fullest potential, but hey, they won that game 2-0. So who am I to say that they held anything back? But it does feel that this roster just has that little bit more to give. But I suppose if you're playing really fundamental Rocket League and it's working, why would you change that?
I mean, that's the thing though, but there's nothing going wrong right now. But I feel like against Semper, if you win these next couple of matchups, against Semper, you can bring out this same style. Yes, it is solidified, it is good, it's a tiny bit bland on some moments. Against Semper, they're not gonna allow you that, because they're just gonna have that same solid defense and eventually break down yours. So they need to figure out some type of stuff, because relying on solidified play and then a couple of solo plays is not the way to go, I feel like.
Certainly not. But for Multiculti as well, losing that one in the fashion that they did, I mean, right now, you would say I would say relatively evenly matched with Carmine Corp. Yes, it's obvious because they're one game apiece. That's very even. But I mean, it's easy to say that, but just looking at the style of play that both these teams are putting on, it does feel like they're matching up against each other really, really well. Multiculti and Carmine Corp both going up for solid 50s. They're winning challenges. It's just the final third, really, for both teams that has been an issue.
It has been, but maybe a good opportunity early on for Carmine Corp once again, but they aren't getting it this time around. Have to be careful for that counter-attack. We've seen it work before for SC Multiculti as Astral brings it out correctly towards the orange half once again. Looking for that 50, but good baiting out by Justus. Knowing that 50 wouldn't favor him at all. Nolly hitting it back into the orange half, but it seems that Heck didn't want that ball to stay in the orange half, and we're back. It seems to be a bit of what I like to call ping pong. I haven't used that phrase in quite a long while, but it really is starting to feel like that.
I remember this in the early days of Rocket League Esports, 2015, 2016. Mainly game ones, they would just batter it back and forth, ping pong between the ends. And right now it does seem like that. It's like, no, you have the ball. No, you have the ball. No, I insist, you have the ball. Multiculti try to push down a little bit more, get over the other side of the net, of the ping pong table. Now Itachi trying to clear his own lines. It does seem very, you know, one person goes, one person stays, one in, one out. Not just for K-Corp, but for Multiculti as well. Both these teams playing a, I don't want to say it's boring, but it's uneventful at the very least.
It is uneventful so far, but you know, those chances can be taken quite quickly, and then you all of a sudden are very hyped because then out of nowhere a chance is created, an opportunity is taken, a shot is made, a goal appears, but so far it isn't looking like any of these two teams really want that goal. It seems that they just don't want to concede so far. As Justus back onto the backside once again, Nolly pass towards Itachi, and Heck with the read of the century. Just too bad he can't find a goal, but almost doesn't.
Oh my
goodness.
Post
denying him, almost going from the most insane read to almost an insane goal.
That was an epic double play there from Keck. Shame he doesn't get the correct angle on it. Justus, trying to sneak it past the defense of K-Corp and thread that needle, but still not to be. Now FC Multiculti, they've held back for nearly over 3 minutes of this game. I feel they're twitching in their chairs, thinking, oh, I want to have a shot at this. I think we're close. I think we can take apart K-Corp here. Here comes Keck again. Itachi able to block that one out. K-Corp, you feel that now they're being pressured a lot more by Multiculti. You see them all pushed upfield. Noli does take himself back, but it might be Astral to get the upper hand here in game number 3. Not to be, as Keck gets another save on the board.
Itachi with the control, quick shot coming out, but Justus still there with the
Justus.
second half position though. Astral almost getting it, and the second attempt going wide as well. Just not going in just yet for Carmine Corp, as Itachi taking it high, taking it under his control. Trying to bring it all the way towards the goal once again, but still blocked off. There seems to be always a third man lying in wait, knowing what to do, knowing when to block. And as Itachi tries to go once more towards the offensive side, Justice blocks it off once again. And there's no second man there. There's never someone really to follow it up, as a demo does happen in the midfield. But still, I'm waiting for a follow-up. Someone needs to be there for Karmine Corp.
It's just really conservative right now. They're playing like they're, you know, 3-4-0 up, or K-Corp. Really, both sides are playing like they've got a substantial lead. But right now, it's 0-0, and I suppose even at this stage, you're quite tentative, thinking, oh, I don't want to make a mistake. I really don't want to, you know, give these guys an opportunity in my own half. But I suppose sometimes you just got to put your neck out there and take risks. And SC Multiculti, maybe in the last 10 seconds here, they'll take a risk. Into the corner it goes. Astral infield passes it to Itachi. He might have just given it out to Piki. Off to the top corner it goes. Justice with the follow-up, but still Astral is able to get his body in the way. And after a flurry of offense from Multiculti right at the end of regulation, we find ourselves in overtime.
I almost thought that would have gone in, and it should have probably gone in, but it still hasn't found the back of the net. And with the way this game has been going, Crafters, I would not be surprised to see quite a long overtime, wouldn't you?
Oh, this goes like a 10-minute 0-0 overtime.
More,
oh,
20.
Boy. Oh no, I know.
We're going to live Danny Boy's
Yes, I'd
dream.
like to cast a long overtime like that. I don't think it's going to happen that way because both these teams are going to be itching to score. Here comes Heck. Loses the rest of his boost tank. There comes Nolly. Flip reset, and he's got it. It's not a long overtime, Spooks. It's only 38 seconds, and K-Corp onto match point.
Nolly just does it so beautifully, so effortlessly almost. And speaking on the defense, yes, maybe you should respect that he could go for those flip resets. But then again, you have to respect that that man can probably go for anything he would want.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see there the stats. I mean, the shots relatively even. I mean, K-Corp just edging it. And everything, apart from the goals, obviously, everything kind of balanced itself out. Both teams had their licks on both sides of the field. And it was never really one team taking full control. It was just that, you know, solo play right at the end from Noli. And we'll watch it again. Lovely air dribble with a flip reset to boot. Yeah, there was just nothing to pick between either team there for me, Spooks.
Nothing really. It really just came down to one breakout solo play, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And with that, I mean, to me, Karmine Corp, that's what they're good at. That's eventually what they will always do. If they can't take the goal with the way they probably would want to at the start, they will just take it towards overtime. Take it as long as they need to until they eventually get that solo goal that they're so good at. But maybe a passing play early on is the way to go.
And there's the one. I mean, it took them 5 minutes and 38 seconds to score in the last game. It only takes them 10 here, and it's Nolly again. Nice infield pass by Astral as well. And Multiculti, he felt the pressure at the start of game 2 as well when K-Corp scored within the first minute. Could be a second here as Astral is hungry for it. Off onto the backboard, can't get a drop down as the defense from Multiculti swarms on top of it. And again, K-Corp starting to show signs of aggression like we saw from them before. And maybe starting to do something with that aggression as well, although this time Piki goes towards net. Nice block away by Astral to get it high and away. And now Justice leaves that one. Itachi follows this one up. Oh, the big booming long clear. I'm surprised that these big booming long clears haven't led to anything, although it does this time as Heck flicks it into the top corner.
As a wise man has once said, if you can't get past the defense, just delete it. That wise man was myself, and I seem to be very much true.
I mean, you were 100% correct on predictions yesterday, Spooks.
I know.
No reason why he couldn't be 100% correct today as well. Although we were saying before we came on air, you've used up all of your prediction stats corrections already. So no more correct predictions from you. Although I'm pretty sure you're at least 1 for 1 so far.